Hello, and thanks for joining. Today's topic is going to be Office 365 Excel, and it's tutorial number 4, and we're going to address cell formatting today. We're going to look at text formatting, width, column width, row height. We're going to look at numbers formatting, currency formatting, percentage formatting, along with date formatting, and also how to format zip codes, and especially with leading zeros on the zip code. So the first thing I want to point out is if you type text into a cell that has text in the cell right to the right of it, it will automatically get truncated. If I were to copy this down, I'm going to right click it and copy it down to this open cell where I don't have anything to the right, it will automatically paste in and just extend into the next cell. But in this case, we have it clipped off here or cut off. So we can fix that a number of ways. We can manually go ahead and move the mouse up to the top of the row there. And when we get the cursor on the far right of the column, we can click and hold the left mouse button and just drag it over to wherever we want it, right? So we can manually change that. I'm going to go ahead and just revert that back. And another thing we can do is highlight the entire column, and we can go under Format, and we can go to Auto Fit Column Width. All right, and you'll see what that'll do. That will go ahead and bring the column width to the exact needed width to accommodate your text in this scenario. So another thing that may happen sometimes is you might have to modify the row height. It works the same way. You can highlight the row and you can just move the mouse to where you get the cross at the bottom of the row number 2 in this example here, and you can just drag it down manually. And I can go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and drag it back manually and make it a little too narrow, right? Where you can see it's cut off here. So I can go over here and I can do the same thing that I did before. I can highlight the row instead of the column and go to Format, and I can say Auto Fit Row Height, and you'll see it will auto fit to be a good match for the text or numbers that you have in that row. Okay, another thing you can do here is if you didn't want to make your column so wide, jumping back to the column here, is you can highlight the text and you can right click in here and you can choose Format Cells, and you can go to the Alignment tab and you can choose the Wrap Text option, and I can say OK. Okay, you see it didn't wrap text, but if I click on the right side of column C, where I have the cross, I push that to the left a little bit, so I'm shrinking my row width, and there you have you see discount, and then you don't see the percentage, but you can see it's here up here in the format bar or the function area here. So what I'm going to do, it actually auto adjusted for me. But you could do the same thing here. If you could go here, you can modify the row height either manually or go to Format and adjust it there with Auto Fit Row Height. So that's what I want to share with you about text in columns that gets cut off. Another thing that you'll notice is if I shrink these here, shrink this column here, column D as an example, you see these numbers that change to just some pound signs. So we know that means it's too narrow. So what we can do, not enough width there, so we can just manually drag it over, or again, we can do the auto fit option, and you'll see similar scenarios with other fields. You'll also see sometimes you'll see a number and you'll get, let me just make this a huge number here. And you'll see over here, like it made it, you'll see this, E plus some number. Well, it's getting truncated. So same thing, you could just expand that and expand it out. So I'm going to go ahead and just revert those changes though. Okay, so now we have some prices in here for these widgets 1, 2, and 3. And what we want to do is we want to make this a little bit more attractive. So we're going to go ahead and highlight all those 3 cells, and we can either right click and choose format cells, or I can go over here in the ribbon here in the menu, and I can expand over here on the bottom right of the number section under the home tab. I can hit the little downward right facing arrow, and that'll open up my options here. So in this case, I want to change it to currency, and I want to put a dollar symbol in there and use 2 decimal places, and I'm going to say OK. And you'll see what will happen. It truncated that 1, so I'm going to go ahead and expand that a little bit, and you see now that fixed that problem. Okay. Now I have discount percentage. So one very important thing about using percentages, so I'm just going to go over here to column H as an example. And if I were to type 10, and then I were to go in and format that number, I'm going to go ahead and click under the number section again, and I were to go to percentage and leave it at 2 decimal places, I'm going to say, okay, that's 1000%. Okay. The way to enter a percentage is to enter it as 0.10, and you'll see that is 10%. Okay, so 1% would be 0.01 and so on. So you can enter percentages one of a couple different ways. You can go over here, let's enter right here, let's enter, let's update, let's format these cells, let's make them a percentage and leave it at 2. If I have them formatted as percentage before I enter any data, then I can type 10%, 20%, 30%, or whatever it may be. I don't have to type 0.10 or 0.20 or whatever. So it's very important that you either format in advance of entering percentages or enter percentages as a real percentage rather than a whole number. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and delete those. And you'll also notice that down here, it will auto recognize that I was doing percentages before, so I can just type 40, and you'll see it will add it there automatically for me. Okay. Total is the same thing that we did under price. I'm going to go under number, and we are going to format it as currency. And I'll go ahead and leave it at 2 decimal places. And then dates. Okay, when you enter dates, it's just going to default. I'll put today's date. I'll put 06/26/2023, and it will default, and you'll see that it will come up, and it will, if I go under format cells, it will come up, and you'll see it defaulted to date automatically. It recognized I was entering a date. Okay, but if you want to change the formatting of that date, you can do that in here. You can go in and, for example, let's say you just wanted the month and the day. You could change that right there as an example. Another thing you could do, I'm going to highlight all 3 of them, and I am going to format cells. I'm going to go to date, and let's assume that I want to change it to the month spelled out, like a normal date format that you would see on, a document or something. So in this case, March 14, 2012, if I click OK, you'll see it will update it here. And we're going to go ahead and do the auto fit this time. You see it got truncated. So we'll go ahead and do format, auto fit column width, and there you see it's spelled out, formatted like that. The final thing that I want to talk about is zip codes. If you just type in zip codes, you'll see if I go in here and I'll go into I'll right click and do format cells, you'll see it just leaves it on the general number category. Okay, so that'll work fine in most cases. However, in this example, if I enter a zip code of 01999, so in other words, I have a leading 0, you'll see what will happen. The 0 will fall off, will get removed. And the reason why that is because it's formatting as a general number. Okay, so a general number wouldn't start with 0 and then numbers. So in order to work around this, we can go in here and we can go under the number option here. And we can go to, we're under number tab, the number tab here on the format cells. We go to custom. And you see, like if you click here, here's like 0.00. But what we're going to do, we're going to change it under custom. We're going to change the type is just all numbers, okay? So you put in all zeros and then say okay, and you see you have the leading zero does not get wiped out there. So I'll copy that down and show you how that will work. So if I go here, I copy that down and then I change this to, let's say that 2 leading zeros. I don't know if that's realistic or not, but, and there you see it retains those leading zeros in this case. Okay, that's what I wanted to share with you today. Thanks so much for joining. If you're interested in Excel, Office 365, and other Office 365 products, along with other technical content, please subscribe. And thanks and have a great day. Take care.